Hello, welcome to the Jazz Room. I'm your host, Joan Watson Jones. Thanks for stopping by. Come in, relax while we enjoy great jazz. Each week we present the music of independent jazz artists as well as those we've grown to love through the years. And yes, of course, the legends. We open with the music of our guest, pianist David Haney. A renowned musician, he's also publisher of Cadence Magazine Online. In this part 2 of our interview with David, we'll talk about when he became the publisher and contributing editor of this online magazine. Right now, you're listening to Jorge and Andrew Improv, featuring Andrew Cyril on drums, Jorge Sylvester on sax, and Adam Lane on bass. Enjoy. David, when and how did you become publisher and contributing editor of Cadence Magazine Online? I want to hear all about this now.
Okay.
I've known Cadence for a long time.
Okay. Well, I took over, I guess, for lack of a better term, in 2012. In 2011, I had a subscription to Cadence, and they published with each, it was quarterly at the time, and each issue at the front page had a little circle and it said 3 issues, 2 issues. It was a countdown to the final publication. After 38 years, they were going to cease publication. And then it said underneath, unless they found somebody to step in, they sort of left the door open with whatever they said. So that kind of stuck in my mind for months. And my relationship with Cadence has gone back to 2000. They've recorded over 15 albums of my music. So I know them. I would go out yearly from Portland up to upstate New York and record at, they don't have a piano at the farm where they normally record albums. So we would go up to the University of Canton in Lawrence, New York, which is right on the border. I think that's right. University of Canton. It's in Canton, University of Lawrence, St. Lawrence. Or, anyway, I knew them quite well. They knew me well, which was more key. That at a certain point, I thought, you know, I am a publisher. I'm a composer, but to make ends meet, I used my compositions to create a publishing system. I published a magazine for years called the Liturgy Planner, and it helps churches choose appropriate music for each Sunday. It makes you look very smart when you're, anyway, so I had a background in periodical maintenance, new subscription, you know, all the issues that are involved in publishing a periodical. I'd done that for 30 years. So I thought, I'm going to feel so stupid, frankly, if I don't at least try this. I don't expect to succeed, but I know I'll regret it if I don't do it. So that was my motivation. And they told me I was out of my mind, that I shouldn't do it. It was, you know, kind of, they felt that all the material in Cadence, maybe you could find online now anyway. The market was changing. Well, they had a lot of stuff. I think they were tired, frankly. You know, they'd done it a long time. And so they initially said no. And I developed just a good offer to them. I said, look, I'll do it in print once a year as a 300-page, just nicely bound book of the whole year. We'll do 4 issues online, and I'll take all that together. And so we'll have best of both worlds. It'll still be in print, and we can take advantage of online, digital. So after trying to dissuade me, they said okay, and I was up there recording a few albums at the time, and I signed a contract and I paid them $1. So I had to buy it, but I paid $1. And
My goodness.
yeah, so you know, I didn't know what I had inherited, frankly. I think I had just inherited the name only. So it was a little tricky. I went through a period of confusion until all the dust settled and all the writers contacted me and said, we're ready to go. And in the meantime, I had interviewed 60. In a few months, I had interviewed 60 jazz artists like Sonny Rollins and Annie Ross. And I had a wish list of all the people that I had always wanted to interview. And now I was the guy. So I thought, I'm going to do this.
Might as well.
Yeah, and I did. And it was the basis of the Jazz Stories project, because I added a segment where I just wanted to ask the artist to recount a turning point in their life.
This piece is titled Phantom Melodies Number 2. David Haney on synth this time, and David Storrs on trombone. You're in the
website. Now
jazz
tell us
room.
the
I'm your
website,
host, Joan Watson Jones.
Cadence
We
Online's
continue
website.
with our interview with pianist David Haney.
CadenceJazzWorld.com.
CadenceJazzWorld.com.
And
So
that'll put
even
you
while
into,
people are listening right now, they can go online and they could see, and there are the interviews. Do you conduct the interviews or do other people conduct the interviews?
I don't conduct the interviews. After that first 6 months of uncertainty and all that stuff,
Mhm.
I realized I don't have to do anything. Anything. It's like cadence is like a beast that gets up and sort of walks on its own. You know, if I don't, like, I always worry, well, what's the content of the next issue going to be? And, you know, there are so many people working on things, and they know Cadence is interested in serious academic work as well, you know, as well as contemporary, like somebody's touring or whatever, right? So I have a handful of people that I'm thinking, boy, here's an interview that they've submitted, you know, and in 10 years, I haven't had to worry about content.
Yeah.
I have some writers, and so I don't do the interviews. What I do is farm out the assignments to people who write reviews. So as people send us CDs to be reviewed, I have someone else that we listen to them, and if we think certain writers, they all have their area they want to write about, maybe traditional or more, you know, whatever. So I kind of do that. I sort of make assignments, and I have to be very careful. If you don't make a good assignment for a writer, they'll quit writing. You know?
Yeah, I understand
Right?
that.
So
Yeah.
I that's important to me, is to make sure the writers are still interested. But the interviews kind of come from people like Ken Weiss is a doctor in Philadelphia that's also a great writer, photographer. He covers a lot of stuff. Let's see. Bill Donaldson has interviews from years ago that we're starting to. Judah Hutt is somebody that we're running an interview this next issue. So I have people that I know, but it's still like kind of come out of the woodwork to me and say, yeah, I have this piece finished now. I'm thinking, good, because we have to go to, you know, go into press soon. Or...
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. It's
Yeah.
so interesting to see how you were able to take the magazine into this century.
Yeah. It's been waiting. It holds so much information. They collected so much data, you know, as far as the interviews that Cadence did since, I think they started in 1970 something, 76.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I don't unfortunately have access to back issues before 2012, but just in that time, the amount of anecdotal history is just incredible. You know? Anyway.
Well, what's your vision for? Are you going to continue in this way, or does it keep evolving? In other words, as times change?
It's definitely evolving. The things that I did were no-brainers, right? Like to make a digital version, to make an online, you know, that's just that's a no-brainer. I have felt that I sort of reached my maximum ability pretty quick on the innovative aspect of what I could bring to it. That it was going to take either someone smarter than me or me getting smarter to see what the next level even is.
Yeah.
And I have seen it. I know what it is now. And I think I do. I mean, who really knows? But I can tell you where I think it's going. With this analogy, there's a writer, Elmore Leonard, and he wrote what became the movie Get Shorty. I think he wrote Westerns, but he also wrote a lot of mob books, right? I remember maybe the Atlantic or some newspaper or magazine wrote an article called Elmore's Legs. And the idea was that there was somebody named, let's see, he was paying, he had people in the crime world that were willing to share information, anecdotal stories about people for the purpose of good fiction, to keep fiction right on. You're going to write about the mob. You want somebody in the mob to verify that the details are correct, right?
Mhm.
I think this could be the future of storytelling and cadence and what it's trying to do. And that, like right now, we're working on developing scripts for a movie. We have a couple of series that we're working on, and we're taking the word right out of the horse's mouth, the stories from people, and integrating them into different formats. Just like a writer might take this information they took from their crime friend, that's in the business.
Yeah.
I seem to be, and I'm not the only one, but in a position of having a lot of that info that verifies what it was like for people. I can write something and act like I know something, but it's much more interesting to hear if you're going to write about, okay, I have a project about John Coltrane right now, okay, and it's a feature-length story, and I've been able to go through the people that knew him and were affected by him, and include that information, not just to learn about it and then write my own opinion, but word for word in the script to take Eddie Gale has stories about when he first played with John Coltrane, right? You've got these different experiences where you're now sharing the words of Cecil Taylor. You're actually sharing their physical words in a creative way that sort of elevates the art form. It makes, like, maybe people watch crime shows because they're very realistic. Well, they've paid for that realism. They have experts, ex-detectives that work on these shows to make. We could do this in the art world, in music and stuff. Right now, it's just sort of used without any, I don't know. But that, you see, that's kind of where I think these things can be headed, in a way that integrates. It's like people don't have anything to look up to. We felt that for a long time. And I think that's more because we don't feel in touch with it. Things are there. There's inspiring things happening all the time. And if we can be part of bringing a little bit of that to the mainstream, it's interesting, That's my interest with Cadence. And it's, I think, trying in scripts and streaming stuff is a way to at least try.
Sounds great. Sounds great. I'm glad we were able to meet you. Thank you for contacting me, because you have opened my eyes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And what have you. It's exciting. It's exciting.
It is. It is. I mean, we spent our lives. You and I have spent our lives this way in music, and that's really something. That's an expert. You become, I don't like words that separate people, like expert and stuff. I don't like those words, but we become, I don't know what it is, but it's something that society needs.
Yeah.
We can't see it always as artists because we're dealing in the now, paying rent.
I know. Well, this was really fascinating. And thank you so much for giving us some time here in the Jazz Room in New York City at Studio 952. Now we have one more tune. It's called Art Baron Improv.
Yes, yes. Okay, so this was from February 2021? No, it was before COVID, right before. It was the last time, February, right before COVID. I say that because that was kind of our last time in New York until just this April. Art Baron on trombone, Bernard Purdy on drums. Adam couldn't be there that night, so it was Ken. Oh my goodness, he's gonna kill me. What's his name? Big eyebrows, looks like a, I shouldn't say what he looks like, I'll get in so much trouble. Anyway, fantastic bass player. And when we play, just, I don't know if this is interesting or not, but we don't ever talk about what we're gonna do.
Just do it.
We just play. We just play.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do make a set list though, and it would say, the set list would say Joan starts.
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
And so then you would start and you would give us an idea of where to go for that piece.
Yeah. I get it. I get it.
It works.
Well, thank you so much for joining us in the Jazz Room, Dave.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
And so we're going to take it out with Art Baron Improv. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
We've come to the end of another show. Thank you for spending time here with us in the Jazz Room. Learn more about Cadence Magazine online at cadencejazzworld.com. You can find news about the Jazz Room on Twitter at Ms. Jazz Kitty or on the Jazz Room page of my website, joanwatsonjones.com. Until next time, you've been in the Jazz Room. I'm your host, Joan Watson Jones.
Thank you, Art Baron on trombone.